You know that feeling, right? You set a huge goal, you're fired up, full of excitement, and then a week later, that motivation is just gone. Well, today, we're going to break down a really powerful method to build the kind of discipline that actually sticks, the kind that will see you all the way to the finish line.
Just picture that for a second. Waking up with no hesitation, no laziness, no distractions, just this steady, constant march toward what you really want. This isn't some superpower you're born with, not at all. It's a skill, and in this explainer, we're going to build it together.
Okay, so before we can build real discipline, we first have to understand what it's not. And that brings us right to something called the motivation trap. It's the reason why so many of our best intentions just seem to fizzle out.
Look, motivation is that initial spark, that New Year's resolution energy. It feels incredible, but it's totally unreliable because it's based on your mood. Discipline, on the other hand, that's the steady engine. It's the system that keeps going even on the days you absolutely do not feel like it. And that, right there, is the difference between a dream and a reality.
So, this brings us to the core of our method, which is built around this beautiful, powerful metaphor, the blue lotus flower. Its journey, from the mud all the way up to the light, is the perfect illustration of what we're trying to do here.
I want you to think of your life as that muddy water. It's filled with distractions, temptations, all your old habits, right? Well, discipline is the force that lets you rise up through all of that mess, through all that noise, and emerge focused and clear on your purpose, just like the lotus.
The whole method unfolds in 4 stages, perfectly mirroring how that flower grows. First, we start with the roots, building a super strong foundation, because without a solid anchor, you're just going to drift. Then, we grow the stem of self-control to push upwards. After that, our focus can finally blossom. And then we learn how to keep it all going at a sustained bloom. So let's dig into stage 1. All right, stage 1 is all about the roots. Just like a lotus needs these deep, strong roots to anchor itself down in the mud, you need a powerful mental foundation to anchor your discipline when things get tough.
This is the first and honestly the most important question you have to ask yourself. Why? What is the deep, meaningful reason you're doing this? And it has to be for you. It can't be to impress someone else. Because I promise you, if your why isn't strong enough to pull you through the bad days, your discipline is never, ever going to stick.
So to build your roots, first things first, control your environment. Make the right choice the easy choice. Get rid of temptations before they even become a fight. Second, and this is so crucial, start with incredibly small wins. The goal here isn't to change your entire life overnight. It's to build momentum and prove to yourself that you can follow through.
Okay, with our foundation set, let's move on to stage 2, the stem. Now, just as the lotus stem has to literally push through the resistance of the water, we need to forge the self-control to push through our own procrastination and temptation.
A super powerful tool for this stage is the 5-second rule. The moment you feel yourself hesitating, on something you know you should be doing, you interrupt that pattern of overthinking by counting backward.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This simple little action actually shifts you out of your emotional, excuse-making brain and into the part of your brain that's ready for action, the prefrontal cortex.
And then you physically move. You just go. This tiny action breaks that whole cycle of procrastination and it launches you into motion, before your brain even has a chance to talk you out of it.
All right, the second technique for building up that stem of self-control is to actively practice delaying gratification. You should think of this like weight training for your discipline muscle. And look, this doesn't have to be anything monumental. This simple act of putting a pause between an impulse and your action, like waiting just 5 minutes to check your phone, it strengthens your ability to resist. Every single small delay is another rep for that discipline muscle. So, with a strong foundation and some real self-control, it is time for stages 3 and 4, the blossom and the bloom. This is where we go from just building discipline to truly mastering it for the long haul. Stage 3, the blossom, is all about mastering deep focus. I'm telling you, in a world of constant distraction, the ability to lock in on a single task is a superpower. And you get there by building a fortress against interruptions. Block out dedicated time for one task, turn off all your notifications, and make your workspace a total distraction-free zone. And finally, we reach the sustained bloom. This is about making discipline your default setting. You keep the momentum going by tracking your progress and living by one simple rule: never miss twice. One day off?
that's an accident. 2 days off, that's the start of a brand new negative habit. But the real key to making this permanent is that last step.
The most powerful shift you can possibly make is in your identity. You have to stop saying, I'm trying to be disciplined, and start telling yourself, I am a disciplined person. Because when you truly believe this, your actions just naturally start to line up with that new identity. You'll make choices based on who you are, not just on how you feel in the moment.
So, we've covered the entire method, from the muddy roots all the way to the bloom. But look, knowledge without action is, well, it's useless. So right now, it is time to put this into practice. What is your first step going to be?
Here's your plan for the next week. Super simple. First, pick just one habit you want to build. Second, apply the 4 stages we just talked about. And third, track your progress every single day. Just see how it feels to intentionally build this skill. And hey, if you found this explainer helpful, please take a quick second to like it and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next one. And I really want to hear from you. Head down to the comments and tell me which habit you are going to start working on today.